Um, Jack, thanks for making the time to do this on Fight Week. Ahead of the biggest night of your career to date, right?
Yeah, for sure, mate, for sure. No worries at all. It's one I'm really looking forward to. So yeah, exciting time. Looking forward to Friday.
And you know Michael well, right?
Yeah, I know Michael quite well. Obviously, uh, we grew up in the amateurs together. Obviously, he was Team Ireland. I was on the Great Britain squad. We're different weights, but we're always in the same tournaments and stuff. But yeah, I never thought our paths would eventually cross. But yeah, now we're here.
You thought that even in sparring, like when you were called upon, you never thought like I guess he didn't either, right? Because he wouldn't have phoned you for sparring had that been the case.
Yeah, exactly. I think at the time we were different weights. Obviously, he was featherweight, I was a super bantam, but he was ahead of me in terms of, pushing on for world sort of titles. I was, I think at the time, looking at sort of English titles. And obviously our careers have changed over the last couple of years, and we've moved up and down weights, and now, yeah, now we're here. It's a funny one, really.
How highly do you rate Mick and where he is in his career now?
I rate him highly. I think he's had a brilliant career. I do believe that it's a very winnable fight for me, especially now. Um, one fact being, I'm matured now and I'm 31 years old. I've come into like peak strength. It's a good weight for me at featherweight. I don't think featherweight will suit Mick as much as it suits me. And I do believe he's his best days are probably behind him.
You know, when there's a story that goes up on him about him on the website, people always saying and talk questioning his chin now. Do you have reservations from his perspective about how he holds a shot?
Not really. I think the guys who have knocked him out have been big punchers. I think even Jordan Gill. I'm hearing from people he can punch quite hard, and it's a tough one really. The guys he's lost against, he's been at top level. He's fought at a much higher level than me. I do believe one of the reasons they've picked me as an opponent is because I'm not known as a notorious puncher, and I think I can't punch. But it's my aim to obviously prove that opinion wrong.
Do you learn anything from the sparring? You must. There's always take homes, right? When you swap punches with someone.
Yeah, yeah, there is. It was very sort of technical sparring. You know what I mean? It what the word outright was. Um, there were spars where I was comfortable. Obviously, sparring, it's very different to fighting. But I always felt good in him. And at the time, I was a super bantamweight, and I was quite young coming through. Like I say, he was at the peak of his career, so there's a bit of confidence taken from that. But I do understand sparring is sparring, and he may be very, very different on the night.
So the last time you sparred, I think it might have been for when he fought Lee Wood. Um, does that sound
Mm.
about right?
Yeah, it was when he was training with Adam Booth, and I can't remember if it was for Leewood but it was about 5 years ago. And he brought me down. He brought Jason Cunningham down. We both did about 5 rounds apiece. And I never thought, never really crossed my mind, that we'd eventually fight one day. But we've always been respectful of each other, and end of the day, it's just boxing, and it's just business. It's just boxing, and it's we've come to this point, and it's sort of like the winner can go on to much bigger things, and the loser, we've got to think about what we're doing next.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting you say that because, I think obviously there was talk that Mick was going to fight for the European title and it didn't work out and now he's got
Hmm.
you instead. Um, but obviously, I guess he's got that in his sights is that he wants that. And then there's talk about, Wood rematch. There's talk about him fighting your buddy Josh. There's talk about all these possible next steps for him. But if
Mm.
you win, they're all your next steps too, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's my plan to obviously rip up the script, and no one's talking about what my next steps are. In fact, before this fight was offered to me, I was sort of in the middle of nowhere looking for an opportunity after my last fight didn't go through due to no fault of my own, and it's come at a perfect time, I believe. You know, I've stayed in the gym, I've stayed loyal to the sport, and um, like I say, I just need to rip up the script and let people start talking about me finally.
Hey, you say that you stay loyal to the sport and that. It just explain to me about that because there's plenty of people there that would say, yeah, but it's your job, you're a fighter and all the rest of it. But when you're not getting when the phone's not ringing, you're not getting any opportunities, and there is temptations to do other things, particularly just throw up your hands and be like, this isn't working out, I'm going to do something else and whatever, balloon up in weight and stuff. It's hard, isn't it? It's hard to keep that motivation and discipline in check and think that the phone's going to ring one day.
Oh, for sure. You know, it's boxing is one of the most challenging things. You know, I think unless you've actually boxed yourself or been involved in boxing, it's so hard to understand because when the phone's not ringing, like you're saying, you've not got something in your sight to aim towards, to not have that takeaway, to get up early on a morning and run or to go training. It's difficult, but that's where champions are made. And luckily, you know, I've got a few good loyal sponsors that support me, and without them, you would have to think about doing something else. I've got a family now. I've got two young girls to support, so it's difficult. It's a difficult sport, but it's very very rewarding. I don't know where I'd be without it.
Do you think Mick's showing you the right amount of respect? Not just because he knows what you're capable of, but because one false move and it's probably all over for Mick now, right?
Yeah, I think he respects me, but probably because of exactly that. I feel like he's got to respect me because he knows that if it doesn't go as planned, um, it could go. It could be the last straw for him. Um, yeah, no, he's been very respectful of me, and I've seen in the past where he hasn't, and it's sort of it's bit him afterwards. So maybe that's why. But listen, I've got a lot of respect for him, and at the end of the day, we're going to get in there and just do the job.
When I was speaking to Josh Warrington last week, who I've obviously got a lot of time for, I really like Josh. He was saying that he's always looking out for you and stuff, and he's obviously interested in this fight for a multitude of reasons. Um, he said that, the one thing you might have your hands full with is the venue and the atmosphere on fight night. Are you ready for? Do you think you can be ready for what's going to be there in Dublin? Because obviously Mick's not fought there as a pro. We know what his ring walks are like. Are you ready for what it's going to be like in that blue corner when you're waiting for this force of nature to walk down to the ring on the night? And is it something you're looking forward to? Are you getting goosebumps now? Me talking about
A
it.
little bit, yeah. You know what it is? I've thought about it. I'm not thought too deeply, but I thought, you know what? It's more like the weight and stuff is going to be a pain in the ass. But listen, I'm prepared for it. Everyone said it to me. Everyone said it to me, so I've got to be prepared for it now, and I've got to embrace this opportunity because I'll probably look back at my career when I'm older and look back and think, wow, that was special. You know what I mean? Even though all those islanders and people might not be there for specifically me. They're there to watch me and Mick fight. And listen, I've got to take this all, and this is my opportunity. And this is I've been telling people this is my ticket. I've just got to take it with both hands. And if I perform, I know I can win. I just need to perform, do what I do every day in the gym, um, and it could be very special.
Hey, I know there's obviously the the two blemishes on your record, but in terms of the Shabazz Masood fight, how much we hear about this unbeaten record thing in boxing all the time and all the rest of it. How costly is that one defeat to a prospect in terms of momentum, hype train, all that sort of thing? Like, does it really set you back? Does it dent your confidence, or is it a bit of a myth?
Um, For me, I believe it did. It did affect my career massively. Um, and there's a lot of people that fall off the bandwagon. It was difficult because I was so confident, as you always should be going into that fight. And when it happened, I was just devastated. You know what I mean? I never thought about losing, and never crossed my mind. And when I lost, it was rebuilding. And look, unfortunately, I didn't have a promotional team behind me. Obviously, I had Probellum at the time, but you know what went on with them, and
Ouch.
yeah, exactly. So I was just left in no man's land. And then watching his career sort of take off, I'm thinking, oh, it could have been mine. But listen, it was the biggest lesson because I've realised from that moment, like it can all end in one night. You know what I mean? And it's taken a while to build and rebuild. I'm still rebuilding now. I've got to obviously win this fight, and I'm grateful that this opportunity has come. Because I do believe I deserve it. I've been grafting my whole life for moments like this, and I don't feel like I have been given a fair shot all the time. You know, a lot of the lads when they're turned over from the GB squads, you know, they get snapped up straight away. They get signed with a big promotional company and whatever. I won two senior ABA titles. Um, I won European medals, Commonwealth medals. It's like I didn't get the opportunity, but I've kept working, I've kept grinding, and hopefully it will pay off.
So when you see Mick on fight week, are you just expecting it to be just very civil and professional?
Yeah, I'd imagine from how it's been like in terms of the build up already, I do think it will be, but we'll see. But listen, I think he's very respectful of me, and I'll be respectful of him.
Do you follow him? Do you follow each other on social media?
Yes, I believe so. Well, I follow him. I don't know if he follows me or what
Have
now,
you
but
have you checked to see if you've been blocked?
I haven't, you know. But one thing I will say is if I have been blocked, I don't think that's a very good sign because for me, like, why go back on something like that? You know, like if you follow someone, don't change it.
Yeah.
You shouldn't care about what they're doing. You know, you focus on what you're doing, and the rest should take care of itself.
Yeah, probably just put each other on mute, isn't it? So you just, in case you see something at a time when you
Yeah,
don't really want to see it.
yeah, exactly. But you know what? Um, it could be on my page every day. You know, studying me, so you just don't know how some fighters work. I think he knows me well enough, and I know him well enough. So I think it'll be quite respectful, I believe.
Are you literally looking at your career as like it's all down to this fight, and not thinking about what comes next? You know, because you know people will be speaking to him about Wood and about Warrington and God, who else he been mentioned with? But you know what I mean.
Yeah.
The next one with you, is it all about Mick Conlan, or are there other targets and things where you're thinking, well, get Mick out of the way this one, and we'll open up 2026 with such and such?
Mm. Right now, it is all about Mick, but obviously your mind does drift, and you think, oh, you know what? I beat Mick. What could be next? And there is big fights out there. Listen, if I beat Mick, I'm looking at world title contention. All being well, I get ranked highly with the WBC after beating him. But I've got to beat him. Um, it's funny. There's some big names out there. You know, like you said, I'm close with Josh. Josh texted me yesterday, wishing me good luck, and you know, he's always been close to me. And yeah, it's a funny one, really. But all focus is on Mick. And um, listen, if I want to move on to what I believe I can achieve in this sport, I've got to beat him.
Let me ask you a horrible question. Would you fight Josh?
I would fight Josh if it was like um, a sort of opportunity I couldn't turn down in terms of money and stuff. Like I say, I've got a family to support. I'm a prize fighter at the end of the day. But um, I'm a good friend of Josh, and I'd rather not. I'd rather not. I'd put it that way.
Yeah. Okay. Well, look, Jack, really appreciate you making the time to do this. Like I said, particularly on fight week and everything, it's really good to spend some time chatting to you. And all the best for going over to Dublin and having a great night.
I appreciate it, Trish. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Jack. Take care. Bye
Top
bye.
man, you too.
Bye bye. Bye.